it's easy afterwards to go and pick some grasses and daisies and things to use as reference for the actual painting. With a different dress and in a different location where there's quite a contrast of light and shade. And with the finished photograph processed, I can work very directly from it when the girl in fact isn't there at all. Put on all the backgrounds flatly first, and then when that paint is dry, I can then apply the patterns, which is really the trademark of my work. The floral borders that are around this picture give the idea that the girl is in fact sitting in her own garden. Stylized, formal, and yet free as well. This is the first triptych. This is a 3-part picture I made, and in the middle is a 12-inch square piece of embroidery with silk thread on bridal satin. It took me 6 months to do. Both of us like to spend a great deal of time on detail, trying to paint as finely as possible, each square inch carrying an infinitesimal amount of detail, so that the more you actually look at the pictures, the more you see in them. I had 2 eggs made by a wood turner because I thought they'd be rather nice objects to paint, and just by themselves they seemed a bit vulnerable, and they needed to be protected in a box made so that 1 egg fitted in each compartment. And so the idea became extended so that the inside lid of the box became an embroidery in silk of periwinkle flowers, reflecting those same designs on the lid.
As Helen combines embroidery and paint in the same work, I too combine metalwork and paintings in the same piece of work. In this piece of work, I've also combined semi-precious stones. Dance is quite an important element in my work, and in this painting there's a dance that the man who goes out at the left of the painting comes in the right, and so when you close the box, the dance is a ring.
Another Kit Williams sculpture, superb in both mechanical and artistic aspects, rounds off but a glimpse of the unique talents of a unique couple. Their work is already gaining wide recognition in this country and abroad. They may well become two of our best-known artists in the years ahead. The stench of civil war fills the sultry English summer of 1643. Gloucester's Puritans give Parliament its only West Country stronghold in the struggle against a self-centred and wasteful king. Charles I could never have their love. Now he's lost their recognition as England's sovereign. The storm clouds roll in, bringing with them a wave of horror and misery. On August the 10th, the king arrives with an army of 6,000 and confidently demands the city's surrender. But the soldier and citizen sent out to meet him remain undaunted.
Your Majesty may have Gloucester, if Parliament decrees it,
comes the terse reply. Charles is furious. He leads his followers away, determined to ride into the city as a conqueror. The army advances, and it seems that Gloucester will soon be overrun. The soldiers burn everything in their path. Houses and even a church go up in flames. But so great is the inferno that it drives the royalists back. Colonel Edward Massey, the young governor, uses the time to set up a network of barricades which are never to be breached effectively. The king opens up with his artillery. Cannonballs rip into the ancient church of St. Mary de Crypt. They lop off the spire of St. Nicholas Church. Wreck a priory. And damage many houses. However, the people are fighting for their lives. They've heard stories of what the royalists will do to them, and they're determined never to give in. Massey strikes back. Normally peaceful fields around the city are transformed into a battlefield with the smell of black gunpowder and the stark reality of death. Royalist cannon mercilessly pound the medieval East Gate. When the barrage fails, the king's engineers mine the walls. But a tremendous downpour brings them spluttering and gasping from their holes. The Puritans thank God for their deliverance. Massey's response is a masterstroke. He and Sir William Waller lead a commando-style raid on a company of Welsh royalists camped at Hynham. They're taken completely by surprise and routed. The death toll among the Welshmen is so great that even the attackers feel sickened. The dashing Prince Rupert leads a spectacular charge against the northern boundary. This too is beaten off, and the defenders display a brand of discipline unknown to the Cavaliers. Charles and James, the royal princes, see little of the siege. They're kept under close protective guard in Matson House on the city outskirts. These two future kings of England spend much of their time carving notches on the windowsill of their tiny room. From the window, they watch their father riding on the peaceful hillside opposite. Only a mile away, the skirmishes continue to be fought with all the early ferocity. And the beleaguered defenders have other problems to contend with. The city's conduits, which provide vital water supplies, suddenly run dry. The royalists have diverted springs which keep the water flowing. Again, Massey rises to the challenge. He has alternative supplies drawn from the River Severn and stored in the cathedral grounds. But the people are also on the brink of starvation. The markets have run out of food. Those in most need get a surprise meal when a scavenging pig is killed by a cannonball. Fatigue and deprivation have brought Gloucester to the brink of surrender. And Massey is down to his last barrel of gunpowder. Suddenly the gloom is lifted. Beacon fires on surrounding hills signal the approach of a long overdue relief column led by the Earl of Essex. The royalists panic and disperse into the countryside. So the Puritan army enters the city in triumph, without even a skirmish. The soldiers are given a rapturous welcome. For the king, it is the beginning of the end. London has turned against him, and he flees to Oxford. Soon Charles is deposed, discredited, and a candidate for the executioner's axe.
Painswick Institute in the heart of the Cotswolds, and the scene is set for an outstanding exhibition by the Guild of Gloucestershire Craftsmen. Stands containing handmade articles by most of the Guild's 40 members fill the hall. The Guild was founded as a corporate association in 1933, but its roots go back to the ideals and genius of Ernest Jimson and the brothers Ernest and Sidney Barnsley. The care and attention to detail in everything is a refreshing change from the world of mass production outside. Only craftsmen whose work is considered to have reached a very high standard are accepted as members. Turn back the clock and we can see some of the preparations for the exhibition underway. Several craftsmen maintain the long tradition of cottage industry in the Cotswolds. Ironworker Norman Bucknell of Bisley is one of these.